Hello and welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox, and today we're talking PGA Championship with ESPN's senior golf analyst and America's favorite caddy, Michael Collins. You can catch Michael covering the PGA Championship on ESPN and ESPN2 with our friends here at Omaha from Thursday to Sunday for a special megacast called the PGA Championship with Matty and the Caddy. He'll be hosting along with his podcast co-host, Matt Berry. Michael, you're out there in Rochester. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us. How you doing out there?
Freezing cold right now. As you can see by the sky, it is one of those typical upstate New York, like wintry days where you just want to stay in, have a grilled cheese sandwich and some soup and just binge watch something.
Figure it out, Rochester, okay? It is supposed to be summer at this point. All right, Michael, you've got the... What?
I'm blaming Mother Nature. I think it's because we're close enough to Canada and there are no Canadian teams in the NHL semifinals that Mother Nature is just being mad at everybody right now.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to ride that train of thought with you as well. All right, let's get right into the tournament. Here are the favorites. You got Scottie Scheffler at the top of the board, plus 650. Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, plus 1600s. And you got Brooke Koepka, plus 1800. Who do you like to win?
Okay, so here's the thing. Jon Rahm right now, I don't know how you bet against him, even though I'm not crazy about the number, because if it's, we're being honest, like we're trying to make some money here, right? And so you're not going to hit a big number if you got a guy who's 7-1, right? But the last time I checked, if I gave somebody $1 and they gave me $7 back, I'm still winning, right? It's still a win. Now, that's when we get a little greedy. We're like, yeah, but I would have liked him at 12-1. Yeah, so would everyone. But Jon Rahm is my guy. He's just going to be difficult to beat. But I will tell you this. We have a very short memory. And how quickly we forget what Brooks Koepka did when he won the week before the Masters. And then went into the Masters and had a chance to win the Masters coming down the stretch on Sunday. And there were 3 guys from that LIV Tour that finished inside the top 4. Guess who won the LIV Tour event last week? None other than Dustin Johnson, and he did it in a playoff against Cam Smith, another top-ranked player who was world number 2 when he went over and joined the LIV Tour. So you look at the numbers of guys like Dustin Johnson and Cam Smith, and you might want to throw a little bit of action their direction because DJ has told everyone, I'm hitting it real good now. And when DJ says he's hitting it good, you better believe him because he's a dude that doesn't lie about where his golf game is. So as much as I love Jon Rahm, I expect DJ, Brooks, and Cam Smith also to have a great showing this week. Now, the guys who I'm fading, Rory. I don't understand why he's up there as one of the favorites. I love Rory to death, but his golf game is going to suit them things right now. He's ranked 172nd in greens and regulation. He's ranked 172nd in strokes gained putting. And what's the most important thing at majors? Hitting greens and putting well. So if you ain't doing that, I don't care if your name's Rory McIlroy.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so we're kind of fading Rory on this, but what about for a top 5 finish? Right now he's at plus 320, or a top 10 finish plus 130. Are those bets maybe you would make on Rory?
For Rory, you can just give me $20 and I'll go get a garbage plate here in Rochester because that's what they're famous for. You fade. For me, I'm fading Rory completely this week. Listen, we do something. I have a show on SiriusXM called Hitting the Green, and we do something on the show called Press Conference Interpretations. And it is you listen to a guy's press conference, and then we tell you what he really means, right? As a guy who caddied for 10 years out on tour, you kind of understand how to read between the lines on what guys are telling you. Well, Rory said in his presser this week, if I never win another golf tournament, I would consider my career a success. What? You're talking about you're cool with the fact if you never win again? Even if you feel that way inside, you don't ever tell anybody that. You don't say it out loud until you're about to retire, unless something is going on. And if something's going on, then guess what? Like, yeah, you know what? My career's been fantastic. If I never win again, I'm cool. All right, cool. I'm never betting on you again until you get your first top 10. You're going to have to show me something first. But for now, fade.
Fade City for Rory. And yeah, I mean, if you're already talking about the end of your career, that's not something I want to put my money on. When you look at this top 5 or top 10 finish, is there anyone that you do like? You got Scotty Scheffler and John Rahm, who you like at the top of the board here. John Rahm plus 175. If you didn't love him at 7-1 plus 175, you're not getting a lot of value here. Anyone that we should be looking at for a top 5 finish?
Well, I said those usual suspects that are up there. That the one thing that I will say might be a little bit surprising. Everyone was curious about how Jordan Spieth was going to look with that wrist injury, and out there watching him practice and warm up and go play a couple of holes, he actually looked really, really good. And I think he's one of those guys who was smart enough that everyone a little bit hit the panic button when it came to him pulling out of the AT&T Byron Nelson because he's sponsored by AT&T. So you figure and it's a home game for him too. So if a guy like that pulls out of a tournament like that, it gives you a moment where you go, oh, something's really wrong. But then watching him out there, he looked pretty good. The only thing that makes me nervous about Jordan is this temperature. When he gets it into this rough and has to dig it out in really cold temperatures, man, that wrist is not going to like it. That being said, I don't have a problem with looking at Jordan Spieth maybe for a top 10. And
Okay.
yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. Same thing with Dustin Johnson, Cam Smith, Brooks Koepka, one of the other guys. I wish I would be a little more confident if his driver was a little straighter. But a
Mm.
guy like Patrick Reed always finds a way. He is the short game guru when it comes down to it, and always has been. His short game has always been spectacular, and his putter always pulls him out of really bad situations. So a guy like Patrick Reed, I would look at too. The other guys that I wish I had more confidence in, I would love to say, because Patrick Cantlay has Tiger Woods' own caddy on his bag, I would love to say I have some confidence in Patrick Cantlay maybe for a top 10, but I just
Okay.
don't. I'm just not feeling it right now with Patrick Cantlay. Same, I do say Xander Schauffele. Xander
Yeah.
Schauffele, I like him for a top
Okay.
10, and Tony Finau is another guy. But
I love Tony Finau. So
I
I watched Full Swing on Netflix, and he is
it made me
my
cry.
favorite.
Yes,
He's my
his
favorite.
episode his episode made me cry. I even told him, thanks,
Ah,
bro. Thanks a lot, man. Had me all choked up. Me and him been friends. I've been friends with him since the day he turned pro. Because he played an event. Him and his brother Gipper played an event the day and turned pro when they were 16 and 17 years old. He almost missed his prom to be at this event and whatnot. So he's been a great person since he was in high school. He's just a good human being who has an amazing family. So yeah. But Tony Finau is a guy too. The only thing that makes me nervous about Tony is again this weather.
yeah.
The forecast. So Thursday we know is going to be really cold. Friday, we're going to have some wind. And if the wind forecast stays the same, that could be a real issue because Tony doesn't necessarily play great in really windy conditions.
Okay. Is there such thing as a player that plays great in terrible conditions? Is there one guy where you're like, the weather doesn't matter, this guy's here to play? Or does it affect everybody the same?
I think it affects everybody the same. And everybody's it's attitude that matters, right? If you know the
Yeah.
weather's going to be terrible, if like Saturday it's going to be rainy, it could be a little bit windy, and if you know that going in, you're like, yeah, it's going to be nasty. Let's go have some fun. Like that's a personal choice, but also, and we know this because we're all humans as well. There are days when you look at stuff and you go, I'm cool with it, and other days when you look at it, you're like, oh, I don't want to be here, right? And
Yeah.
so there are some dudes like look at some of the European players, like Tyrrell Hatton.
Hmm.
So the reason I love Tyrrell Hatton is because Tyrrell Hatton he plays miserable no matter what the conditions. It could be sunny, not a breath of wind, 70 degrees, and Tyrrell still hates Tyrrell. No one hates him more than himself, which is why I love him to death. And like he's a fun guy to be around, but he also is really good at playing in challenging conditions. So is
Yeah.
Shane Lowry. He's another
Okay.
one who chillier conditions like this and get a little rain, a little bit of wind. Those European guys are used to playing in weather like that. Tommy Fleetwood's a good one to look at as well. You know, I wish
Yeah.
he was trending in a better direction, but
We just saw it with the Masters, how horrible that weather was. And you're really at the mercy of your start time, which is fair and also sometimes unfair, right? Because the weather changes on a
Yeah,
dime here. But what did you think, just real quick, of the Masters and the terrible weather and the amount of delays that happen? I know they can't put it on pause and just do it the next weekend,
that's
but
the
did you
only
feel
thing
like,
that the Masters can't control. They can control
yeah,
everything else, and
yeah,
Mother Nature's like, don't even talk to me. You don't know me. I'm not a member, so you don't
yeah,
get to tell me what to do. Yeah, it was it's
it's
golf.
tough.
It's a sport that we play outside, and so especially that time of year in Georgia, we have. I mean, think about Masters of the past. We've had Masters of the past when it's been in the 40s, right? And
Yeah,
it's been cold and it's been nasty and like it still looks pretty on TV, but it's not necessarily fun to play. But then there's Masters when it's been in the 80s and like
yeah.
really hot and much warmer than we ever thought it was going to be. And so, I just kind of look at it. That's the rub that is the sport of
Yeah.
golf. And it's okay. There are years that it's going to be amazing. And then there are other years when it's going to be,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Speaking of the Masters, since that was the last major tournament, we did have a few live golfers in the mix when the tournament. It's Brooks Koepka, Cameron Smith, Patrick Reed, and Bryson DeChambeau. It's at plus 250. Will they make the cut? Is this a spicy parlay, maybe?
So I was talking to Bryson DeChambeau earlier, yesterday, earlier in the week, and he's in a great mood, in a great spot. He would be the
Ooh.
guy who normally you would be really nervous and worried about.
Hmm.
Not anymore. So I would say that's probably a good move. The only guy,
Okay.
honestly, it's funny. Like I said, the only guy out of that group to parlay that would make me nervous would be Patrick Reed
Yeah.
because Patrick has been struggling with his driver. That's been the problem for Patrick. His driver's been struggling. But if he can find fairways this week, then yeah, I think every one of those guys makes the cut. And I think that's a
Okay.
pretty solid wager.
Tickets to the game, merch, meals at iconic restaurants, stays at Caesar Palace. All this can be yours when you bet with Caesar Sportsbook. Win or lose, every bet earns reward credits, which you can redeem across the empire. Now, if you haven't started yet, register using code OMAHAFULL and then place your first bet up to $1,250. If you win, great. You keep those winnings. But if you lose, you'll get your stake back as a bonus bet. You're here in Rochester, you're at Oak Hill. Have you played or caddied there before? And what really makes this course unique?
I have not caddied this golf course. I have played the Country Club of Rochester close by, but I haven't played this course. But I have walked it. The thing that makes this golf course unique is it is a all around tough golf course. So it's
Mm,
demanding off the tee, and then if you miss the fairway, it just doesn't let up because the greens are not big, so you don't have big targets to hit. And if you miss these greens, it is just the way that they have this rough grown in right now. I honestly hope they cut it back just a little bit because remember, there are 20 PGA professionals. Now, these are the guys who
yeah.
on Monday, they're setting up tournaments and selling shirts, right? These are not pro tour golfers. Like they're just PGA professionals. And I know the PGA of America doesn't want to embarrass those guys. So the thing that is going to make this golf course so difficult, if you miss the fairways off the tee and get into like a fairway bunker, normally pros would be like, whew, sand, I know what it's going to do. Not this week. Those fairway bunkers are tough and they have big lips on them. If you miss these fairways, period, you're almost going to give up a half a shot. So this is just one of those golf courses where even in perfect conditions, you're
It's
not going to
tough.
see a score like 14 under winning. Like, don't be surprised if we stay in single digits to win this week.
Wow. Okay. Well, you talk about how tough this course is. Is it harder than Southern Hills was last year?
Ooh, oh, that's a good question. They're two very different golf courses, but I would say the winning score will not be as low as what we saw at Southern Hills. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. We talked about
But it's
full
a
swing
big
a
boy.
little
I
bit.
will say it's a big boy golf course, so it's going to be probably a bomber, especially with cold conditions where the ball's not going to travel as far for a couple of days. Like look for one of the bombers.
If it's a big boy golf course, I want nothing to do with it because my game is not up to par to play somewhere like this.
Me neither. I like the short, fat guy golf courses. That's what I play.
Yes, I absolutely relate to you on that one. Okay, so we talked about Full Swing already. I'm assuming that you watched and loved the show as someone who is already a part of the golf community. We saw the phenomenon of, Joel Dahman and his caddy. They blew up. Everybody loves
Gino.
them. They're the coolest player caddy combo. Who's your favorite player right now and caddy? Is it them?
Ooh, ooh, see, now you're trying to make me lose friends. See, I'm not. That was a good try though. Like that's pretty funny. Hey, who's your favorite kid? No, you ain't getting me. No.
Okay, ain't
I
getting you.
will
All right, so
listen. I
let's
will
talk about
say.
how
Let me
who the
put it this
world is
way.
loving right now.
I'll put it this way. So Joel and Gino Vanelli is probably one of the greatest caddy follows on social media.
Okay, love
His
it.
his for a caddy, his social media is amazing. So like the two of those guys together are fantastic on the golf course, and yeah, they're two great guys that are out there and two good followers.
All right. Well, you can't pick between your children, which we understand. How about rating your overall favorite golf course for experience? And I'm just going to we'll do Oak Hill, right? Because we're here right now. TPC Sawgrass or Torrey Pines? Overall experience.
Oh man,
This is not as difficult as picking a child. This is just overall experience of a course.
why
Rank
do
them
I
one,
have
two, three.
why do I have to pick those? Can't I
Okay,
just
fine.
say what my favorite course is?
Your
If
top three favorite courses.
if there's one course I could play, so this is non-majors. Non-majors.
Okay.
It's not fair to rank the majors because the Masters, Augusta National, is next level. Like that's,
Yes.
and I was lucky enough to, I was, fortunate enough to get to play that the Monday after the Masters in 2017.
Wow.
So that's not fair. So PGA Tour courses, give me Kapalua, where they play the
Mm.
Tournament of Champions. I could literally I
And
could play
Maui.
that golf course every day. I mean, because it changes every day with the wind. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite courses, and it's Maui. So no matter how bad a golf you're playing,
It's still great.
thank you. So, number two, I would probably say, yeah, because of the history
Mm.
of the Players Championship, and I say it is the fifth major. It is a major championship because of the strength of field. Even though nowadays it's hard to say that because of the Live Tour, um, I still think that's a golf course that it forces every part of your game to be good, and it's a it's a it's a good course to play. And then yeah, like Torrey Pines is.
Come on. Beautiful,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. But see, Torrey Pines, I would say, is and Spyglass are very close.
Oh,
Spyglass.
Spyglass.
See, now when
Yes.
you
Pebble
ask the
Beach.
guys on the PGA Tour champions and some of the
Hmm.
older golfers, if you were only going to play 18 holes and never play again, a lot of those guys will tell you Spyglass because Spyglass is two different golf courses.
Yeah.
Part of the golf course you're playing by the ocean, it's the Pacific, and like you hear the seals, and but
Oh,
then part of the golf course is up in the woods, and it's like a side of a mountain type of golf
yeah.
course. So you get the best of both worlds at one spot, and like it is very special.
Well, I'm from the Bay Area, so I love that you threw Spyglass in there. I mean, that whole area, Pebble Beach, Spyglass, 17-mile drive, it's like God is showing off, right? It's just the best of nature, that whole entire area. So I love that you threw that in there. And then of course San Diego and Maui. Come on, we got to do that. All right, Michael, I know that you're a busy guy, so we will let you get out of here. We're so thankful that you gave us your time today. Where else can the audience find your content? We know that you have a podcast as well.
Yeah. So, man, I feel like I feel like I got 27 jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, so Instagram, Twitter is ESPN Caddy. That's a real easy one to find.
Yep.
Maddie and the Caddy is the podcast that's on YouTube. This week I'm going to be on ESPN and ESPN2 doing our mega cast, which will be a lot of
Yes.
fun as well. Yeah. So you can find, I'm all over the place. I'm all over.
ESPN Caddy for basically everything that you need that'll be posted on there. Michael, thank you so much. Again, be sure to tune into ESPN and Omaha's special megacast, the PGA Championship with Maddie and the Caddy, from Thursday to Sunday on ESPN and ESPN2. For more of Michael Collins, this has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social at Moxie Bets. We'll see you next time.
Yes, and bring me some hot chocolate, please.